What up, world, and welcome back to the Deep Dive Podcast. I know it's been a minute since I've done a podcast. I did actually have a podcast all set for you guys with one of the people that want to be the guest on the show. Unfortunately, as I'm going back to edit, audio was all messed up, and unfortunately, have not been able to reschedule. But in the meantime, I did have a nice 4 or 5 part series podcast for you guys. So the next few will be mainly based off this topic. It's broken up for a reason, as you'll find out very shortly. I've tried to figure out what to say to start off with, but I don't think anything I'm gonna say is gonna matter. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about high school and my high school experience in specific. I had a weird 4 years of high school, to put it as much. I started in 2013. I graduated in 2017. So I didn't experience any of the COVID aspect, but it was just weird. It was a mix of like everything, I guess, to a degree, in my opinion. But it started out, I guess, fine, and then it turned awful. But to get to the awful part, we got to figure out how everything started out fine. So today's episode is episode 1. There's actually episode 8, but episode 1 of high school. We're going to start with freshman year. Now, each of these episodes I'm going to try to keep between about a 20 to 30 minute period so that I'm not dragging it out. That's why I'm breaking up into 4 to 5 different episodes. So freshman year. That would be 2013 to 2014. We're talking in September, 10 years since I started high school. So, where do I begin? So, my high school and middle school were on, so it was like on a hill. The bottom of the hill was middle school, top of the hill was the high school. I walked the middle school and high school every day. And I actually timed it to the point. I had a watch, not an Apple Watch. I had a normal watch. I would set an alarm on it that for 7:40 or 7:45 in the morning. That alarm told me I had 15 minutes to get to school. There were certain days I timed it to the point that I literally left, or I was walking, or I left my house and the alarm went off, and it took me just as much time to get into my classroom. I would always try to leave the day before with what I needed for the next few periods, because I knew then I didn't have to rush to get to my locker. And then we were able to carry our backpacks around all day. So it came more to a T as things got later on, but I would wake up to my alarms and head off to school. And they've changed it now, but when I was in high school, we had 9 periods. We had first, second, third, 4-1, 4-2, 5-6, 7-8, 9. Second period was the longest because they did announcements, so there's like an extra 15 minutes thrown on there. And you all may be asking, what's 4-1 and 4-2? Well, 4-1 and 4-2 was when you had lunch. So if you could have class. You didn't have to have class at 4-1 and 4-2. You would just have an hour and a half of lunch. Sometimes that happened for people, sometimes it didn't. But you had at least a half an hour for lunch, which say you had at 4-1. And we had a bell system. So then once that first bell went off, it was time for you to go to class, and then you had class 4-2, or vice versa. So, but we also had the thing called off periods. you can do whatever you want. But as a freshman and sophomore, you couldn't leave campus. If you went down the hill, there was ice cream store, Rite Aid, frozen yogurt, a bagel place, a bank, Subway. So there was food options and within a walking distance where you could walk down there, get your food, eat it there possibly, and then come back. Or you could have it delivered. We had a bunch of delis. So I don't necessarily remember any of my schedules, but it was fairly simple. Middle school, everyone kind of came together, and now we're in high school. Just being more, now we're in a bigger building with another 1,200 people. My graduating class is about 400, so give about 400 each grade. You're talking 1,600 to 1,800 people in one building at any given day. So it's crazy to think. So we've gone from now 3 grades to 4, almost 1,700 kids about in this school. And I knew a lot. As I said, I know a lot of people. I could probably, if I look back to my yearbook, I can be like, I either had a class with you, I interacted with you, or I knew your name and I could say hi to you in the hallway. I could easily do that for about, I want to say everyone. I really do. There were kids that came in and out, 1 year or half a year, whatever. Things like that happen. So they may not be in the yearbook. But freshman year was, simple as can be. I'm still trying to learn. I just graduated from middle school. Now I'm in a bigger building trying to adjust to everything. And, I got along with certain teachers. Some, I think that was my science teacher that year. We would hang out with him. He was a cool dude. And I had him usually later in the day. But certain teachers were chiller than others. They let you hang out with them during lunch or an off period. They would even help you like if you had an issue and they would spend time. Other teachers wouldn't do that. But there's also something called teachers also canceled. Like if a teacher, it was weird, but teachers could cancel their class, and they could cancel it for one period. They could cancel it for all day. There'd be a note on the door, and as I said, I knew a lot of people, so all of us, even if we had an issue with one another, we would all have each other's numbers or Snapchat or something, so that we would, and everyone would post on their story who was canceled and who wasn't. So then if you had that teacher, you didn't have that class. So you don't have to worry. But, that was, that's just how the school worked. Unless the teacher was going to be out for an extended period of time, then they knew. Like, I had a teacher, and she was giving birth, so we had a sub. Like, there was no cancel class. Unless the sub canceled, there was no cancel class. So we didn't get like, oh, she was out for one day, and then the sub came in. No, she brought the sub in, and then when her day was to leave, then the sub took over. And the sub was really nice. But that's for a difference. I believe that was later down the road. But that's my point of how cancel classes worked. So, freshman year fine, learning, adjustment. And we had midterms and finals. So, the end of January, beginning of February, we would have midterms. And there would be no class. But you show up for when your final or midterm or final, depending on the class, would be. And you come in with minimal, like a pencil case. You turn your phone in to the front of the class. It was like a mini vacation, but, like, you could have a test Monday and a test Friday. You have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. Don't have to worry about a single thing. And that's the same thing with finals. Classes would end. Then it would jump straight in the finals for about 2 weeks. and then it'd be graduation, and then graduation would be Thursday night, and then prom would be the next night. So, I think they've changed it now to um, prom and then graduation. So if you screw up at prom, which I tell you, if that happened for us, a lot of people wouldn't have graduated. But we're going to get that later in these episodes. So that's just my opinion. But I saw firsthand, and you're going to hear firsthand from my perspective. And if you want to take other people's perspective about if you know me and you know other people that knew me, you want to take the perspective, that's fine. I'm telling you my perspective. And personally, that's all that matters to me, because this is what happened to me. I'm just giving you details along the way of what happened and how things ran. If you don't know me and you're just listening because you enjoy listening to different podcasts. So, and you're only getting my firsthand experience. You know, I have an 8% listener viewership in Canada. Those 8% probably don't know me. I do know people in Canada, but probably that 8% don't know who I am. They're just listening because they enjoy this podcast. So, but back on track here. After finals, or midterms, we're gonna call them usually. It was my birthday. I remember this very well. You know, I had first period canceled, so I didn't have to leave early. I got about an extra half an hour, 45 minutes of sleep. I remember going to Dunkin' because you got your free drink on your birthday. That was dope. I walked into school, biggest smile. I was like, let's go. Let's start the day right. You know, we've already started the day right. I got extra sleep. I got my Dunkin'. And then I think I had math class. And I love math. So this was just being a good day. Or math is canceled. One of the two. I don't know. But that was that. Then shortly after, baseball tryouts come around. So my freshman year, the field was still kind of hard and cold, and snow was still on the ground. So we could not do tryouts outside. So my freshman year, I would 2 day. I think it was a 4-day period. So Monday and Wednesday, I had to get up extra early to go to the high school. So I had to be there for 6:30 or 6 o'clock, one of the two. I think it was 6:30 because it was an hour. Then 7:30, and there was not enough time for me to run back home, shower. So it sucked. But then I just knew I was going to get sweaty later on in the day. But getting sweaty throughout the whole day, I'm being sweaty all day, it sucked. I think I brought an extra set of clothes and like a towel. I don't remember. So the only reason I had to get up early for those days is because I pitched. And, you know, we warmed up, and then we did some tosses, and then we had like a mini bullpen. So they measured out the gym. Catchers on one end, pitchers on the other. So we're throwing off flat ground what we got. And it's a little different experience than facing live hitters because, yes, you can see the pitches move and how things go, but it wasn't like facing live hitters because it's like, well, can he get the number one player on their team out, or is he gonna hang something and it's gonna be a triple in the alley or something? So, and then after school we did cage work, tee work, many other drills. So it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it, and this was for JV. Personally, I'd rather have gone outside and done stuff, but we couldn't do that. It was unfortunate. So, but I feel like that hindered some people's ability. Mind you, probably the coaches already had determined the teams beforehand, and there was absolutely no shot was I making it. Because when I tell you politics, money has to go into all this, you know, as you know, if you've heard baseball stories from me before, you understand why I'm saying this now. So it was unfortunate. I did give it my all. You know, I pitched. I could play first base if needed. Play second, play third, play short. Perfectly fine. First base was the only place in infield that, unless like you really need a first baseman, I could play first. It was not my starting, it's like that'd be the last position I would play. Would be first base. I played a few innings of first base in summer camp, but other than that was it. I pitched a lot. I played the outfield, and I could play every outfield spot. I knew the routes, even though they said I didn't. I knew the routes. I knew where to throw to on any given situation. So, but I feel like indoors hindered any ability to do anything. So unfortunately, I did not make the team that year. And, it was no big deal. I did my own thing. I had a backyard with 2 concrete walls. I threw, I hit, I went to summer camp. I knew I had friends that, actually, not friends, sorry. Oh, I had friends, but I had a friend who didn't go to my high school. Actually, he wasn't in high school yet, so he was in middle school. He was, I think, a year or 2 below me. I think a year. Let's see. As you all know, Justin, we would play baseball all the time. So I always had someone to throw, and he catched. Like, catching I could not do. I could play any other position. I could pitch, DH, infield, outfield. I could not catch, but he catched. So that was a good thing. So if everyone wanted to just throw a bullpen, I knew I had a guy. And, some people don't have that luxury. And I was very fortunate. He couldn't, he pitched, he played the infield, he can catch. He couldn't track a fly ball for save his life. And I tried to do it all the time, try to help him out. Could not. I'm sorry I'm going out of here, buddy, but that's just how it was. So, but I did my own thing. I was cool. It is what it is. So, but that year was, I knew a lot of the seniors that tried out. Good friends of mine, still to this day. They gave me the nickname Trapaholic. If anyone knows that nickname, I used it for everything for a long time. And then as I grew older and got to college, I'm like, no one knows me as Trapaholic. They know me as William. So, and then I changed it to Trapezoid because I got an Xbox and run on words. So, and I used to hate being called Trapezoid. But now I don't mind it. So, but Trapaholic, that's how I was born, and after that point, I went from I knew everyone, but I was mid, there's a pyramid if you want to call it, or a scale of between popular and not popular. I went from in the middle to the popular group. Mind you, I didn't get invited to every party every weekend or all that, but I sat with the top percent, if you want to call it. At lunch, I hanged out, I talked to them a lot, hanged out. Some of them invited me to the parties. Some of them didn't. All cool. Again, I had other things to do. I didn't mind, and mainly at these parties, they were drinking. And then at that time, I really, I wasn't drinking freshman year. Never, I was like, I'm just going to wait. There's no point. I had no interest in doing it at all. So my thing was just school, have good friends, and enjoy baseball. That's really all it was. So, and then before you know it, freshman year came to an end, and Trapaholic was, running through everything, and Trapaholic swag, and then there was a point merch started coming into this. It was an interesting time, but throughout my whole high school time, everyone knew me as Trapaholic, and that's what everyone called me. And as we get later on, no one called me Will or William. That was, usually teachers. Even some people, even some of the teachers called me Trap or Mr. Trap. My first name was not in existence. And as I'm telling you the story now, this will lead into a later story. Going from freshman to senior year, even though as I got older, I didn't know, I knew as sophomore year, I knew the freshmen. Junior year, I knew the freshmen because they were I saw them around in middle school when they were 6th, 7th grade. As I'm a senior, you're talking these are now 5th graders when I was in freshman year. I don't know many of them. The only way I would know you is if we had a class together or you were like a sibling. So as senior year came around, I didn't know as many people. But mind you that I knew 1,600 people freshman year, 1,600 people junior year, 1,600 people sophomore year, and about 1,200. That's a lot of people to know. Mind you, there's a lot of duplicates in there. That's a lot of people. And I could probably name you a majority of them still to this day. Or go through a yearbook, and as I said, yeah, I know you. So, but, freshman year ended, and, just how it was. It wasn't too bad. Nothing really bad of nature freshman year. It's just kind of the start of everything, to be honest. It went, as I said, it went from fine to awful toward senior year. And this is where fine now moved into, like, better. I'm like, dope. Now I'm done freshman year. I got a nickname. I hang out with, I know the popular kids. I'm like, summer's gonna be fun. Mind you, summer wasn't that fun. So, but it was what it was. I saw them all around. I worked for my uncle, so a lot of them own pools. So sometimes they would come into the store, and that's pretty much it. Or I saw them around town. That's all it was. But other than that, that's all I got for freshman year. I gotta, I want to hold off. As you're hearing this, you're hearing now, but I want to have a little plan for this video or this episode before it actually comes out. But now that you're hearing it's already coming out, and you've already seen the idea for it. So, but if you did enjoy, this is just part one. There's more to come. As I said, I'm going to keep it between a 20-30 minute range for each year. And then maybe a little recap at the end. I don't know. But again, 4 or 5 series episode between 20 and 30 minutes. As we're at the 22-minute mark here. So, but other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Remember, you don't have to. It's greatly appreciated. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow, do whatever. So you never miss new podcast, new video. Remember, we're on Spotify and YouTube. Apple Music is still in the works. So other than that, I'll catch you all on High School Part 2 on the next episode.